Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of Matthews in the Morning coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Also, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Got a good show lined up today. We'll have Buddy Martin, and we'll have Matt Wyatt, the color analyst for the Mississippi State Bulldog Football Network. Played quarterback there himself. We'll talk to him in the second portion of today's program. If you missed it last night, Dodgers go up 1-0 over the Brewers, and the Mariners 2 games away from their first ever World Series. And then in football, you had a Monday night doubleheader. Walk-off winner, I believe, by the the Redskins lost, the Bears. That was my 2 teams playing, the Redskins and the Bears. And then Falcons played really well, beat the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the host of the Buddy Martin Show, the one and the only Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I've been better. Got about an inch of water on my floor this morning. Woke up to that, so I'm waiting on the plumber to kind of see what's going on here. But I'm here. I'm alive. And
buddy, do you have your feet like above water right now, or
no? It's down at the end of the apartment. No, it's at the other end, but it's about an inch of water. It's good. Anyway, that's for another day. We got Gator fans that have enough woes to worry about besides my own plumbing. So there you go. But I did watch that baseball game and part of the football game. Baseball game. Really loving the baseball games. They're really terrific. It was a heck of a ball game right down to the end. Bases loaded. There were 2 men on base, and it was an interesting finish. I loved also the Mariners series. Their catcher, Raleigh, is having unbelievable. He is probably the MVP, but he won't get it probably. So I've been enjoying the postseason baseball. As you know, I watch it a little in the regular season with the Rays. I probably watch 50 games a year, a part of it. And I do like Major League Baseball because it moves at a good pace. And for me, for old guys, it's good. But I did watch the football, and boy, where did the Falcons come from? And I said to you last night on the program, I saw Felipe Franks there last night as a tight end on the roster. He caught a pass. So, yeah, I don't know. So they said, Felipe Franks, what? I didn't even know he was on the team.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there ever since he left here, actually.
Well, I thought he was cut or something. I didn't know he was still there. Good for him.
Yep, he's lasted a long time. At least it seems like it. Got a YouTube comment here brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Art Schindel says, can't believe Napier's brother called into Steve's show yesterday complaining about the schedule. Shane thought it was funny. I remember somebody calling in on Steve's show yesterday talking about the schedule. I didn't know that was Billy's brother.
Doesn't he have 2 brothers?
I think, but I mean, how do we know it's his brother is what I'm gonna get.
Don't know. I guess he just says his brother. I don't know. That would be interesting. So I guess you got to help wherever you can get it from, right?
I guess. All right, buddy. So let's get your thoughts on the Texas A&M game.
Well, we talked about it last night. It was a really, really good first quarter. And it's hard to see where that offense has come from and where it's going and why it shut down. For the first quarter, they looked like they knew what they were doing. They were running plays, they were working their flow. They obviously script plays well. They had them scripted out well, a ton of points and yards, but unfortunately, the defense all of a sudden disappeared. And Texas A&M burned them on that long bomb early. I was disappointed in how they finished the game, and we go back to that play, which will probably have its own name one day. That 4th down call and the 3rd down call, which they were in the game and had a chance to even win the game, and then suddenly they fell apart. I don't know what analytics Billy reads. I'm not smart enough to know all that, but he says, well, analytics call for that. Well, we talked about it last night, Shane, 3rd down. Yeah, okay, so you have a running play you go to. To get to that point in the season, that point in the game, and not have a better play than that, that bothers me that they can't do better than that. The third down call, okay, so you try to catch him off guard. You didn't. Your left tackle was playing like crap. He zeroed out, Shane. Austin Barber, who we thought was having a good year, going to have a good year, his grades were zero. He had nothing. He was zero for the whole game. Anyway, the point was it didn't work. And they came back, put their quarterback under duress. As you pointed out, there were two receivers in the area. He was pressured and overthrew, and they didn't complete it. And of course, the rest was history. But I don't know. It just seems like this team can't get a break or make its own breaks. And I'm beginning to think there's something to the play calling and other things, of course. And you and I have discussed that. Anyway, not a very pretty sight, and not something Gator fans wanted to see. But now we are where we are, and where do we go from here? Well, we talked about it last night. People are making lists, coaches, etc. We'll see. But the game in Texas A&M, again, heartbreaking because it was winnable, and there was nothing, got nothing to, the performance was not good in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, and the coach didn't have a plan.
Art was kidding. He says he doesn't know if that was his brother or not. I thought he was serious. I had no idea.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the whole script, 941 Lowlife says needs to script the whole damn game.
That's true. I
Okay, but
believe
you
that.
can't.
I know,
can't,
but I
buddy.
get what he's talking about.
I've never been on a team that scripted
Yeah,
plays.
well, you
Never
had a
understood
different,
it.
you had a life that was different than most quarterbacks.
No, I'm
And
talking about even in the NFL. I don't think I was on a team that scripted plays because
some,
I'm not a big believer in that because you
some,
can't follow your script.
yeah,
Here's what happened in the first quarter. Mike Elko thought his team could play man coverage, put an extra guy in the box,
hmm
and play bump coverage. Okay. We attacked their weak corner, the Hicks kid. After two touchdowns, they said, you know what? We're going to play zone. And that's what happened. That has
yeah,
nothing to do with us. We're not good against zone. That's a
yeah,
fact.
that's true.
That is a fact. So the whole scripting thing, I don't even know if those first plays were scripted, quite honestly. All they saw was man coverage with a lot of green grass. We're going to throw it out there and take advantage of it. They put that away later in the game. Um, we were fortunate too, buddy, to even have an opportunity to even have that fourth down decision because the previous drive, Marcel Reed should have put the game away with either a
Come in,
field
excuse
goal.
me. Come in. It's open. Sorry, I have a
That's
plumber
all right. The
coming.
plumbers are coming. Maybe
Yeah,
you should have
yeah.
called Quality Plumbing, buddy.
Well, no, they don't work up here. This is
They
all part of
might,
the.
they may,
Yeah.
they may drive
Hey,
up there to help you
listen,
out.
I might have to. We'll see. Come on in.
You need to go let them in, buddy.
I'm going to see here in a second. Sorry about that. I told Zach this is going to
All
happen.
good. It's all
Woke up
good.
to an inch of water on my floor, so I think you are you in? Shane, take it for 1 second while I
I
go
got
make
it, buddy. You
sure.
go take care
I'll
of
be
that.
right back.
In the meantime, Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family.
Come in.
Ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352 240 7279.
I know. I did that.
Shooter wants to know why are we bad against zone coverage? Because zone coverage, you can't eyeball your receivers in zone, right? Because if you're looking right here and you throw there, everybody is just swarming to where your head and your eyes are. That's why zone, you have to anticipate and throw in windows and look people off and anticipate. We're not good at that at all. Clint says, Shane, will you just tell us the truth? Is the NFL rigged? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I just think that league, there's anybody can beat anybody on any given day in the National Football League. Now, there may be some calls here and there. Hell, there were calls in college football. We all know what happened in the Auburn, Georgia game. Vernell Brown did not catch that ball in our game, folks. That ball hit the ground. I was blown away that they didn't even take a long time to look at it. It was clearly bounced off the ground. Um, so anyway, we're still going to wait for Buddy here. I got some text to get to while we're waiting on Buddy. On the Titan Amar text line. Okay. This says Kiffin was one of the only coaches that outcoached Urban when he was at Tennessee. Tennessee should have beaten us that year. Can you ask? This is from the other day. He says Kerwin Bell would be the best hire in his opinion. I wouldn't have a problem with that, but it ain't gonna happen.
Apparently, my water's leaking downstairs too. Anyway, so
Are you okay, buddy? Do you need to go?
I'm okay, I think. Am I okay in there?
Yeah, I got the.
Okay. Okay.
And we've got people coming.
Well, I got somebody coming. I've got a plumber on the way.
Yeah, but we've got to take care of the water leak.
Okay, well, that's up to you. All right, here you go. I'm
You all
getting
right,
orders from everybody here. Okay,
All right.
back
So,
to it. Sorry about that, folks. Things do happen in
hey,
life. You know.
that's it's all good. That's all good. All right, buddy. So get back to all right,
Yeah.
let's do this because multiple people, we're getting the texts like you get all the
Yeah.
time on your show. Do you think this will be Billy's last game against Mississippi State?
I think it's a 50-50 chance, maybe even a 60-40 chance. Because if you're going to make the break, which they obviously are going to make, you have to decide now. In fact, I talked to a guy last night who kind of knows, says that he thinks the decision's been made, and maybe even the coach has been chosen. I don't know that. And I think this going to happen after this weekend because it gives you 2 weeks in the open day to kind of get your act together. The problem is who's going to be the interim? That's their big issue. And it's going to get worse instead of better. Give it to Steve Spurrier Jr., somebody said last night. Why not? What the heck? But no, I think it might be. I think people, it's a pain threshold. And Billy talked in his presser. I don't know if you heard it or not yesterday. I had friends on last night, fans Beard and Gator Bait, and he was at the presser. He talked like a man that was a fait accompli deal that he kept talking about, well, coaches are well compensated. This happens, et cetera, et cetera. Talked about Scott Strickland being a quote unquote good teammate. He's waiting for his payday of 21.3, whatever it might be. It's another story. And I guess it's time to move on. Shane, how do you feel about it?
No, I think that we'll have a new coach next year.
No, I mean now, today. I mean this weekend.
I'm not really worried about any of that. I don't think it's going to matter. You know what I saw? I read, buddy, and I don't know if I've ever seen this in a contract. Kurt Cignetti obviously has done a tremendous job at Indy.
Right.
And, people are, saying maybe he comes to Florida, maybe he goes to Penn State, who knows? But do you know that he has to pay back to Indiana if he leaves $10 million?
Did not know that. That's a
Yeah.
good contract back in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's gotten out of hand. This thing has gotten out of hand. Jimmy Sexton and the boys have just ramped this up to a point of absurdity.
Well, Jimmy Sexton may be the smartest man in America.
Well, for you, but that's the problem is that the people who run the football programs are not. So that's he's going up against the guys that can't figure it out. I like that Cignetti guy. I don't know much about him. Just saw him for the first time online this week. Heard him talk. Was impressed. You talk. Some people say he's like an older version of Spurrier as a coach. He's 64. He didn't look 64 or act 64. As you said last night, he's a chirper. He likes to chirp back at people. He's cocky. He's got a little swagger to him. He's a good play caller. And he's got the worst team in the Big Ten of all time playing great and beating Oregon for crying out loud. Who saw that coming? I didn't.
Mm-hmm. So Clint Irby says, I don't understand why everyone on the boards are so upset that we haven't fired Billy yet. He'll be gone, but just let him finish this year, keep the team together, reduce the buyout. I don't know if it reduces the buyout.
Well, they could negotiate it.
Well, they're going to negotiate it regardless,
Yeah.
is my thoughts.
I like that thinking, and I think that was my proposal. Let him finish out what he started.
Yeah, I think people think, and again, this isn't everybody, but the average fan thinks that in order to start talking about another coach, you have to fire the coach now. That is not the case.
No, it's not at all. They know already.
That stuff is going on already.
Yeah, of course,
behind closed doors with the agents and stuff.
Yeah. I think that's they want change. They want to see change. They want to know there's going to be change, and they're frustrated. But in the end, what are you looking for? Revenge? I mean, the fact is, what do you gain? If you want to just have Billy let somebody else call plays, say you can stay, but let somebody else call plays or whatever. You can negotiate whatever you want to for $21 million, right? I don't know. I don't know enough about it except to say that it's been a very heartbreaking season. We talked last night, Shane, about how many games are winnable, how many can they win. I think we concluded our group of people, who was it, Steve Russell, you, me, and Franz. We think that most we could expect is 3 wins, and you agree with that, right?
Hopefully 3 wins. I mean,
Yeah.
hell,
I
may
mean,
not be that many.
that's the most. That's it. You could expect 3 wins.
Yeah. I mean, you could upset somebody at home or whatever, but I don't know what to make of this team. I really don't. What we saw from the defense in this game is kind of what I thought we would see. This is the first team that attempted to throw the ball down the field against us, and I think nobody's done it. Miami didn't do it. LSU didn't do it. But A&M with a quarterback that's not an accurate thrower, he's a feast or famine guy. They
Yeah.
hit big plays down the field. I think
Elko's got a Spurrier on his staff.
Gavin.
Yeah. People don't know who Gavin is.
Gavin is his grandson, Bubba's
Right.
son,
And
one of Bubba's many kids.
yeah, they had a bunch, triplets and doublets and twins. Plus, did he play? Did he play college ball in Texas?
No, he was I think he was a
Yeah.
walk-on at Duke, and that's why he's
Oh,
coaching
was
because
okay.
he played for Elko.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Clayton Young says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, UF absolutely wants Signetti. He is Urban 2.0.
Well, how does he think he knows he's absolute? That's
No.
not necessarily true.
No.
He's not Urban at all. He don't like Urban at all.
No.
People make up things. They think, oh, they love to make their list, and that's fine. It's part of it. Let's go get our list against a whole bunch of people on that list. And quite frankly, you're in the business. I'm in the business. I don't know all of those people. I doubt they know them. They hear again name. Oh, I like this name. Let's get this guy. It's like Christmas shopping. But anyway, I understand. Fans are frustrated. They won't change. They got their own ideas and thoughts. And where did we go wrong with Billy? I don't know. We chose the wrong guy, I guess. He wasn't who we thought he was, right?
Yeah. Didn't work out, or it's not working out. So we'll see. Skipper says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, don't fire Billy until the next coach is hired or committed, not officially. Yeah, I mean that they got stuff going on behind closed doors. Every that's how every school works, right?
Absolutely.
Josie says, I love Kerwin, but Shane is right. If it wasn't an ex-Gator, none of us would know about Kerwin. Can you imagine hiring a coach from Western Carolina after how mad everyone is about hiring Sun Belt coach?
Yeah, well, the group of 5 coaches have no chance now. This is not going to happen. Gator fans are not going to put up with it. And I understand why they would feel that way about it. We just have to, like you say, to wait and see. I just don't want it to ruin my whole fall. And, I want to I'm going to not let it, because I'm going to focus on, hey, basketball starts here pretty soon. They're ranked number 3 in the AP poll and number 2 in the coaches poll. They got most of their players back last night. Franz and Steve Russell talked about at practice how good they looked. Basketball to take your mind off of it a little bit. We got the World Series. I just want to get to the heart of the matter, and let's get the coach and start over again. And here we go, Shane, doing it again one more time.
Yeah, for sure. Drew J says Marcus Freeman is not the best pick stylistic wise, but he will do wonders for recruiting, and maybe he will bring his ex-teammate Brian Hartline with him. Why would Brian Hartline come to Florida? Somebody please. He is coaching at his alma mater, who is the #1 team in America, who is the defending national champs. And he's not a great offensive coordinator, by the way. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, I heard from a big booster at the game that Strickland doesn't want Lane. Any thoughts? I've heard that too. Like I said, I don't care what happens in the coaching search, buddy. I only have a problem if we don't offer the best guy for the job. That's a problem to me. Right?
That would be a problem. And of course,
now that doesn't mean the guy's going to take the job. But
you probably know before you offer it to him.
That's bull crap. At least say we want this guy. This is our #1.
I heard what you said.
We're going to offer it to him.
You've been consistent in saying that the job hasn't been offered. We don't know that. We only hear that last year that Strickland shot down Lane. We don't know that. That's what we're hearing. I don't know. Again, I was told last night by somebody that you know, not named Spurrier, who's close to the program, who says the big money people are split, divided by three. There's three groups, and we'll see which one's which. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They got to make Urban if they want him. I don't want this for Urban, to be honest. He's a friend of mine. I know people hate him for whatever reason, but I think it's bad. I think he needs to stay right where he is. But they got to at least make him say no. That's the people, one of the groups. The second thing is Lane has got to be the targeted guy, but you got to also say, well, what if Lane doesn't come? Well, who's our backup? Is it Signetti? Who's it going to be? And that third guy is the guy I'm not sure. I don't know whatever happened to Drinkwitz. I thought he was a really good choice, but he's got a heck of a program going on too. He may not be all that. I would think he'd be happy to be anxious to come to Florida. I don't know. What do you think?
Possibly. I mean, I have not heard the Urban thing from anyone, but I mean, it could. I mean, you know Urban very well.
Or Urban didn't tell me that. He did not tell me that. No, that he didn't. I don't even know. That's what I was told by somebody who is connected to many people that you know pretty well, who is connected, and this is what he says they're saying. I don't. That's all I can tell you. It's my source. He's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Chris says Bill on Facebook Live brought to Melon Bill Arnsberger didn't want Spurrier either, but the boosters made it happen. Strickland has two straight failed football hires. He doesn't have a lot of leverage in this search.
By the way, credit's not been given enough to Gene Peak for that, who was head of the boosters. He had a teammate of Steve's. I was in Jacksonville at that time and talking with Arnsparger and talking with Peak. And I can tell you for a fact, I was there in it, and Arnsparger did not want Spurrier and tried his best to almost torpedo it, and he couldn't. So he's right about that.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Hang on. We got a couple of texts on the Titan Mark text line.
How about the Heisman, Shane?
What about the Heisman?
Well, we'll see. What the top contenders now? You got Ty Simpson in there and Carson Beck.
I think
Guy.
if I were to vote today, if I
Mhm.
was a voter, I'd be torn between Ty Simpson and Mendoza, the quarterback at Indiana.
Really, I haven't seen enough of Mendoza. I don't think Mendoza's got enough run at this point in time.
Yes, he does. His
Well,
stats are
well,
better
I'm
than
a
any.
voter and I haven't seen it yet.
Well, you need to watch. Didn't you watch the game the other day, buddy?
No, I couldn't watch it. I
Oh,
had
I thought
other
you said
things I
you
had to
watched
do.
it.
I can't watch every game, Shane. And I'm willing to look at that, but we're not going to make that decision until November. Anyway, I'm just saying right now, I'm more interested in Ty Simpson. He impressed me a lot. And Carson Beck, well, I mean, look, if he finishes on an undefeated team and plays well, although his stats aren't that impressive, he's going to be in there. And I don't know Mendoza, but I'll take a look at him.
Mendoza, I thought, yeah, you need to watch him. He's a transfer from Cal. He's a really good player. He's from Miami. Larry on the Titan War text says Shane, supposedly Scott was at Billy's press conference yesterday, which is very unusual. Matter of fact, I heard it was the first time since the Texas A&M game last season. Thought that was interesting. I don't know. I don't go to the press conferences, so I
Well, I
haven't.
can tell you, I talked to Shane. I was getting messages from friends. And when he first got there, Billy wasn't there. And there was a little buzz going on because his car wasn't in his parking place. And then Scott Strickland was. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, what's going on here? And I guess Billy was just late, and Strickland was there. And obviously, I mean, the way Billy talked about it, a foregone conclusion, he of course would not address it. But his comments about being well compensated as a coach, how much money they make, and as part of the deal, he agreed. That was quite generous. And he called him, called Scott Strickland a quote unquote good teammate. It was all hunky dory. And he knows what's coming. It's going to be, it's going to be a quick and gentle beheading. He didn't say it that. And then he's going to get his money, go down the road. And the question is, where will he coach next? I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know how these things get all mumbo jumbo. But looking back on it, I don't know, Shane, what you saw on his track record. And I don't know that much about it other than he coached for Dabo and he got fired. Went to Arizona State last of the year. He went to Saban, gave him, I guess, a recommendation. He had a good run with Saban, and then he had his little thing in the Sun Belt Conference. So there you go. And that's what happened. And he caught wind, and we caught him.
Yeah. Here's a question for you on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law from Maury. Says question for Buddy. You said there's three factions of boosters. For the boosters that want Urban, and he says no. Which coach does that faction migrate to? I would hope and think it would be Lane. Thank you, sir.
I would guess that too. I mean, I would think that would be accurate, but I don't know that. I'm just telling you what the people who deal in this, who talk to all the money people, this person told me this. I go by what he says because I believe him. I trust him. What that means, I don't know. That's just what he said.
Yeah. Ted also says, absent Spurrier and Urban, we've always hired a second tier coach. We were unable to get Bob Stoops or an A-list coach. When we were at the top, we got Zook and Muschamp. So I'm not expecting an A-list
That's
coach.
not true. Doug Dickey was a top-notch coach when he was hired.
This guy may not have been alive then.
I don't care. History didn't change because he wasn't alive. That's the fact. That's an untrue statement. Doug Dickey, who I was not a fan of, I like him personally, was there and kind of came after the famous '69 team, went out and won the most games in history. And Ray Graves had to step up to athletic director, and Dickey was basically made as a choice in the off season by the politicos and the boosters. And he did Doug, and I talked to Doug about this. He had not agreed to it, but basically said he'd be interested in talking after the bowl game, which by the way was the Gator Bowl. They played the Florida Gators and lost to them. They were the SEC champions. Doug Dickey was a top tier coach then.
Yeah. Larry on the Titan More text line says Drink wants the Auburn job. That's where he started his career.
I heard that last night, but I don't know if that's true or not. I
Well,
read
he did coach there at one time. That's where he got started.
it could be. I don't know. Really know enough about him. I'm sure people got their own choices. You would have, if it came down to you and you were coaching and you had the opportunity to go to Ole Miss or Missouri, which one would you pick? You would pick Ole Miss because that's where your background is, right?
Correct.
So there you go. Hey, by the way, here's that quote I messed up last night on the show, and it was from Lane. It was pretty good one about his student body and his red zone, and you corrected me on it. Here was the accurate quote. I thought our red zone offense showed up about like our student section. That's a pretty good quote.
Yeah, and then he took a shot. He took a shot at Kirby yesterday. I love his quotes. A reporter asked him who burns more calories in a game, Lane or Kirby, and he said, Lane said something along these lines. He said, "I walked by, I saw his press conference on the SEC network or whatever. Doesn't look like he's burning too many calories."
Well, yeah. I mean, did you saw the Auburn Georgia game? I mean, Kirby was like attached to the official. He was in his ear every single minute of every play. I mean, enough was enough. He was in his ear constantly. And then it was a horrible call at the end there. It was just unfortunate way for Auburn to get screwed on that deal. But Kirby's was coaching his butt off. I will say that. And this is a strange year. You're going to have a team that gets there is going to have some hiccups, some close calls, some almost losses, and you're going to get to those 10, 11 wins, but it's not going to be a waltz. Nobody's going to skate, And Alabama's looking better and better all the time.
Buddy, who you got on your program tonight?
Well, it's Lauren Meadows' night tonight. He and Rob Brown will be carrying the ball. I would hope to have Kelly Ray Finney on either tomorrow night or whenever, because she's got her big event coming up on Thursday. We want to try to help her promote women's basketball. And if there is a good basketball program there in the making, hopefully she is able to overcome that. So that'll be Lauren tonight on the program. Check us out. We're always there on 9 o'clock every night Eastern time, Monday through Friday.
All right, buddy. We appreciate your time. Go get your
I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to get my goggles.
And let me know. We'll get you the phone number.
Okay. Thank you, man.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. Quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by the color analyst of the Mississippi State Radio Network, Matt Wyatt. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Meals Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Back to the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by former Mississippi State quarterback, now the color analyst for their radio network, Matt Wyatt. Good morning, Matt. How you doing, bud?
Good morning, Shane Matthews. Hey, I'm not just saying this to butter you up, but it is the truth. Over the last couple of years, I've said yes to doing interviews less and less, just because one, I feel like they don't really need to hear from me, but the chance to talk to you, when I was in the 8th grade, it's the first year I ever played football in North Alabama in a school called Russellville. And we didn't go to games on Saturdays. We either hunted or fished. And I was introduced to you, I think it was 1990. I was on the edge of a dove field in a place called Vina, Alabama with my dad. It was the first year I'd played football, so I was really getting interested in it. So we were listening to the Florida Gators at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I believe it was 90. And the Alabama announcers on the radio up there in Alabama were bragging on this guy named Shane Matthews. And my mom was recording the game for me on VHS. And so I remember getting home and watching the game. And I just thought, man, this guy, he's throwing it all over the field. Nobody does that, And so I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. So, when you call, I'm like, absolutely. I'll talk to Shane Matthews for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. People don't know, too, you were a two-sport athlete at Mississippi State.
Well, athlete, you use that word loosely. But, yeah, and I was a baseball kid, and then went the football route later. That's really, truly, I played organized football for the first year in I guess that was 1990. I was in the 8th grade. I'd always been a baseball kid before that. But it was one of those, just fell in love with it. Imagine that, a kid from Alabama falling in love with football,
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's talk about this Mississippi State team. Obviously, y'all had some great years under Mike Leach and Dan Mullen, and then some rough years. But I really feel like Jeff Lebby is a good fit at Mississippi State. He's really turned the program around. When we played y'all last year, Matt, that was one of the worst SEC teams I'd ever seen. I was like, this team ain't going to win a damn game. But they got better as the year went on. And you sit at 4-2 right now, man. You upset Arizona State. You had Tennessee on the ropes. Just talk about that transition, what Lebby has done with that program.
Well, yeah. Okay. So first of all, your eyes weren't lying. I've been calling the games in the booth on our radio broadcasts, as the analyst, so home and away for 15 years. I was with the crew on pregame, postgame for 2 years, so 17 years of radio. Was on the team for 5 years in the 90s, and watching that last year, is absolutely the worst. Defensively, it was almost like watching it last year's Twilight Zone. You couldn't imagine a Mississippi State team that was really that pitiful defensively and non-physical, and it was just hard to watch it week after week when you, especially against, you consider what the program had been historically. And so what they did, Shane, and you note kind of the improvement, is they went out and spent a ton of money on the line of scrimmage, particularly defensive line. So if you were to look at position for position, defensive front guys this year versus last year's, all these names that weren't on last year's team. And so I want to say it was something like 7 or 8, D1 or, upper level, upperclassmen type defensive lineman guys that they went and brought in from all over the place, anywhere from coastal Carolina to Texas, all these guys. And it has totally transformed their defense starting right there on the front, just because they said, okay, you may be in a position where you're just going to have to overspend and stack that position. And they spent a good bit of money too on offensive linemen. And unfortunately, some of those have gotten hurt. But that's the biggest thing is, from a skill position and a skill player deal, Levy and his offense, like, they know what they're doing. They're going to throw and catch, and they're going to get people open, and they're going to make space with their RPO stuff, and that's just what they do. They know how to do that. But the line of scrimmage was pitiful last year. This year, it's much better, and that's why they've been more competitive.
Yeah. And what's their thought process? I mean, in the past, let's be honest, Mississippi State traveling to the swamp, let's go have a great experience. Maybe we can pull an upset, but Florida's struggling. I think Mississippi State's offense can give us problems just because of the style of play. I think Blake Shapen's a tough dude. He makes throws. Just give me your overall thoughts on the offense.
Well, again, you've nailed it. I mean, not surprised that you know what you're looking at. But first of all, Shapen, tough is the word. I'm so impressed with him, Shane, because, he gets hit a ton. And in these 2 SEC games, the last 2, Tennessee and A&M, 9 sacks in 2 games. And I mean, some of those have been blindside, and I'm talking about he's getting hit. And he's not a huge guy because of the protection issues and injuries up front. But the cumulative effect doesn't really work with him. 99% of us, I guess, we play quarterback. You get in our face enough and hit us enough, it adds up, and we'll make that big mistake late, and the accuracy goes away and stuff. It doesn't work. That doesn't happen with him. It's like, if you want to affect Blake Shapen, you have to hit him before he throws the ball. And you can hit him 10 times, but if you don't hit him before he throws it, he's going to complete the football. He's a tough cookie now. And that's one reason they have a chance in some of these games. And the other thing, Shane, is they are a home run offense, okay, and have been every week. And if you're Florida, I would guarantee you defensively, their deal is, look, the one thing that worries us about State offense is they can get behind you. They have those kind of speed guys. The kid from Georgia, Evans, and the kid from Oklahoma, Thompson, they can get behind you. And if they do, they'll hit the home run. That's really the one thing that worries you. I want to say, let's see, against A&M, State had one extended drive. It was like 15 plays, but it ended in a field goal. Their touchdown drive in the second half was a bomb touchdown throw. They have only like a handful, maybe 2 or 3 touchdown drives all year that are 10 or more plays. All the other touchdown drives, like, 4 plays and bomb, 6 plays and bomb, that kind of thing. See, so that's what you have to defend against if you're Florida. And then I think the other thing too, Florida's probably watching the tape going, look, they have a whole crop of new defensive, personnel. They've been a much better, they're just basically a competitive SEC defense now. They're pretty good third down defense. And also, One thing that has made a difference for them defensively is they brought in Mike McIntyre and Paul Rhodes into the defensive staff room, and that sort of collection of experience and breaking themselves down and also opponents has really made a difference.
Yeah, that's some old dudes that have been coaching ball a long time.
Yeah.
Sticking with the defense real quick, the Gators, we've had our explosive plays when teams have played us a lot of man coverage, right? One high bump coverage. We got some really good dudes on the outside. DJ Lagway has struggled against zone defense. What has State predominantly played? I know they probably mix it up during a game. Or y'all more a man or zone team?
It's a really good mix. To their credit, Shane, it's hard to watch State and come away with a real clear idea of which one they are. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Part of that is because, I think State's got good corners, but this is kind of the first year that they're on the island. And so it's like there's a little more man each week. Does that make sense? Some of it is a matchup thing. If you would find it interesting, I think, to go back and watch them against Arizona State, because Arizona State's got this one guy, receiver, who's, depending on who you listen to, is supposed to be a really high draft pick type of guy. I can't remember his name. And Kelly Jones is this corner for State, who's this long, tall, 6'4" guy from like Clarksdale. He's the second fastest guy on the team. And all camp, he's making plays at corner. And everybody would say behind the scenes, man, when he figures out just how good he can be, he's going to play a lot of football. And okay, well, he goes out against this guy who's supposed to be a first rounder and just shut him down, even in man-to-man stuff running down the field. So they've had some of that. It's just like it's got to sort of, the glue's got to set, and so there's been a lot of zone. And I would tell you, my evaluation, they've been better in man than they have in zone. They have had some issues with this thing that you get with sometimes in young secondaries. They run to spots, but then they don't cover anybody, right? The whole idea that all zone coverage turns into man. They'll run to their spot, do like the Cowboys are doing. You run to a spot and then let everybody get open.
Right.
So they're dealing with some of that.
What's the fan base like? How do they feel about Jeff Levy?
Like him, bought in, just because you kind of you saw what you saw last year, and it was like, how do you even, when your personnel is that what it was last year, how do you even evaluate a coach? Well, who cares what you call? It doesn't matter. And so then they go out and in one cycle, address the line of scrimmage. They've done a very good job with who they want and for what reason. The skill players like Bothwell, the running back who's hurt now, the two receivers I mentioned, one from Georgia, one from Oklahoma, and then they are a very well coached team. You can watch them, and to the naked eye, you don't have to, know very much to see. They've really done a good job of putting the operation together around who they have, and upsetting Arizona State in a good atmosphere week 2. That kind of get everybody bought in. I think so. The idea is, look, you got a good football coach. He knows what he's doing. He's built a really good staff around him, and probably what they need is, another year of where you overspend to keep who you have, and then load the wagon and go overspend on some new guys next year, and in year 3 try to make a splash.
Yeah, I think he's a good fit for Mississippi State. Andy's got a question for you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. He says, do you think Mike Leach will be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and do you have a favorite Mike Leach story to share?
I think everybody probably does. Yeah, I've got several, but I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. Not long after Coach Leach was hired, I was doing some work for the department, behind the scenes video stuff, documentary video stuff, which is one of the things I do for a living. And it put me in a car, kind of riding around with him, and he was being driven around by the sports information guy that particular day, on a day where he had about 5 different stops to make appearances. We were following him to each one. And I just thought it was funny. People didn't realize, but there was some conversation with him, in those car rides and while we were waiting in areas, but he spent a ton of time on his phone. And I kept thinking, like, is he texting or whatever? And at some point I asked the guy, I said, is he doing a lot of texting or what? He goes, no. He's learning Spanish. I said, what do you mean learning Spanish? He said they've got some app on their phone, and he and his wife it's a game you play against other people. It keeps the score. You compete with others, but the game is you're learning Spanish. And they're competing against each other, he and his wife, to see who can learn Spanish and win this game. So he was totally preoccupied with learning Spanish on his phone while we were filming him. That was kind of the way he was. As far as the Hall of Fame thing, who knows? I mean, he should be, sure. It's weird. Is it the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Stats? It's weird to me they put some statistical threshold on there and then they call it the Hall of Fame. Like, what is it? But should he? Yeah, we all know he should be in. But the deal is, I think everybody knows, if you were to ask him, you'd get some answer about, well, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if you're in there? And that's always the interesting thing in a Mike Leach conversation.
Yeah. John on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, ask Matt, since he was a dual sport athlete at Mississippi State, what are his thoughts on kids playing travel ball all year? Everywhere I speak, Matt, I was a three-sport guy in high school: football, baseball, and basketball. Now, I just did football in college, but I feel like in today's world, these kids are screwing themselves by not playing multiple sports. I think it causes injuries. Just give me your thoughts. I mean, we kind of grew up the same way. Just your thoughts on that.
I'm with you 100%. The focusing on one, specializing and everything. I just can't imagine that kid's having sort of the same experience, a life experience that you and I had, coming up. That's one thing about it. Two, though, from a development standpoint, when you hear a guy like Tom Glavine, tell baseball people, this is not what's best for you. That's a great indicator. But the other thing, I've always believed basketball in every way possible, in terms of training up a young athlete, hand-eye coordination, the ability to catch the football and handle the football. The best thing you can do is play basketball. It's the best thing you can do. Head to toe. Training for any other sport would be play basketball. What do I know? But again, I understand. It's kind of, the travel ball thing has kind of become the country club deal. It's played a role in the demographic that you see dominate, like the college baseball level. Thank goodness, though, they've finally gotten rid of the scholarship limits in college baseball. It's going to really open it up. And I think the more opportunities for kids from all backgrounds, all walks of life, to go, hey, I can get a full scholarship. I can get the whole thing paid for in baseball now. That maybe that encourages more kids who can't, frankly, afford the travel ball life to maybe be interested in play baseball because they see some light at the end of the tunnel. So that's kind of what I hope.
All right, before we get you out here, I got to ask you about Mississippi State baseball. I mean, to me, Dudy Noble's the best place to go watch a game. Are you excited for the new coaching hire?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were asking about Levy earlier in the fan base. Like, you've had a couple of fall scrimmages, and the state fan base is super excited about Brian O'Connor. And man, in terms of putting arms and bats and athletes in a lineup and on a roster, they have really done something at state. When you put a magnifying glass to it and look at what he's done and putting his first team together there, they are loaded. And that's not to say that others aren't too. I mean, sure they are. The LSUs of the world and all, they're loaded too. But this first team he's going to trot out there this year at state, it's one of the most talented that has ever run out there at Dudy Noble. And that's before they've played anybody. So, yeah, people are really excited. And you can see they went out and made a big investment. But part of the reason is you can justify it at state. When you're having home weekends for 3 months out of the year and all these home weekends, you're putting 10 and 11 and 12 and in some cases 14 and 15,000 people in your stadium. You can justify spending it, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing like that place for sure. Um, last thing I wanted to ask you is, well, not ask you, but let everybody know we got people that listen to my program all over the country. You do your own show. How can people listen to that?
Yeah, the best way is like probably connect with it online. We stream it on YouTube and Facebook and X, and you can find it by just looking at Radio Wyatt. And so it's Mississippi. It's a whole lot of Mississippi State and Bulldogs. But I'll be honest, Shane, we don't focus on sports as much as we should. There's a whole lot of hunting, fishing, food. Sometimes I'll tell people there's a whole lot of guy talk, and then they hear that and they think, oh, it's the nefarious, talking about girls. And said, no, no, no. Why is it guy talk? Hunt, fish, eat, and then some football mixed in. So we do a lot of that as well.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you Saturday, my man.
All right. Thanks, Shane. See you
Yep,
then.
that's Matt Wyatt, former Gator, former Mississippi State Bulldog quarterback, also the color analyst on their radio network. When Meyer wanted to introduce high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Linderos tequila. We want to appreciate, we want to thank Buddy and Matt Wyatt for joining us. Matt does a tremendous job there in the state of Mississippi, and appreciate him taking time. I know they're going on a little vacation the rest of the week before he comes down here. I guess they have a little fall break, his kids do. So appreciate him taking the time. A few comments here before we get out of here. Baron 71 says, what a legend. I wish more kids emulated his style of hitting than the modern day home run or not. I don't even know what he's talking about. Oh, Wade Boggs he's talking about. So that's going to do it for today's program. Tomorrow we'll have JC, and I'm not sure who the other guest will be. It'll be a secret, I guess. We'll figure it out tomorrow.